Why your inner voice sounds like a machine now. Something shifted in your brain recently, and you probably missed it. Every time you fire up an AI assistant to polish your writing, suggest your next move, or validate your thinking, you're not just getting help. You're outsourcing pieces of your consciousness. And here's what nobody's warning you about. Those pieces don't come back. They get replaced with something that looks like you, sounds like you, but fundamentally isn't you anymore. The dependency creeps up slowly. First, you're just fixing typos. Then you're asking for better phrasing. Before you know it, you can't write a simple email without algorithmic backup. You've forgotten what your authentic voice even sounds like because it's been filtered through so many layers of optimization that the original got lost somewhere in the process. Research from Stanford University found that regular AI users begin internalizing not just the language patterns, but the actual value systems embedded in these algorithms. You think you're using a neutral tool. You're not. Every suggestion carries embedded assumptions about what's correct, professional, acceptable. And every time you hit accept, you're training your brain to think within those parameters. You're being standardized. Here's the terrifying part. You're starting to judge yourself by machine standards. When your natural thoughts feel messy or unpolished, you assume something's wrong with you. You've internalized a critic that isn't human. It's statistical, and it's killing your originality, one edit at a time. Your raw thoughts, the ones that actually contain your unique perspective, get filtered out before they ever see daylight. Think about what you've already lost. When's the last time you trusted your gut without cross-checking it against an algorithm? When's the last time you made a decision based purely on instinct, experience, lived wisdom? If you're hesitating to answer, you've already crossed the line. You don't trust yourself anymore. You need machine validation to feel competent. But it goes deeper than confidence. You're literally rewiring your neural pathways. Neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new connections, is working against you now. Every time you accept an AI suggestion, instead of struggling through your own solution, you're weakening the neural circuits responsible for independent thinking. You're training your brain to be a passenger instead of a driver. And the worst part, this feels like progress. You're producing more content, communicating more efficiently, solving problems faster, but you're optimizing yourself into irrelevance. You're becoming a better version of what the algorithm thinks a human should be, not a better version of who you actually are. There's a massive difference. Consider how many decisions you've made this week based on algorithmic recommendations. What to watch, what to buy, how to respond, what to say, how to say it. Each choice seems small, but aggregated, they form the entire narrative of your life. And that narrative is being written by code that has no understanding of what it means to be you. The AI doesn't know you. It can't. It only knows statistical patterns from billions of texts created by billions of people. When you ask it to help you express yourself, it's not revealing you. It's converting you into an average. You're becoming generic without realizing it. Your unique perspective, the one shaped by your specific experiences and worldview, is being smoothed out into something palatable and predictable. Stop for a second and do this experiment. Try to remember the last genuinely original thought you had. Not something you read, consumed, or processed through digital filters. Something that emerged purely from your own mind, your own connections, your own way of seeing the world. Struggling to remember? That's not a memory problem. That's evidence of cognitive outsourcing. We're building a generation that can't function without algorithmic crutches. Kids who've never written without autocorrect. Teenagers who've never solved problems without searching for answers. Adults who can't make important decisions without AI validation. And we're calling this evolution. We're celebrating it, while we quietly surrender the one thing that makes us irreplaceable, our ability to think for ourselves. Drop a comment. Can you go 24 hours without asking AI for help with anything? Hit like if this triggered something you've been avoiding. Subscribe because what comes next reveals exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes and what you can do about it before it's too late. WH80 happens when algorithms become your conscience. How AI turned you into a statistical average. Your brain is doing something disturbing right now, and you need to know about it. It's reorganizing itself around the patterns you consume most frequently. And if you're spending hours every day interacting with AI responses, your neural networks are literally restructuring to mimic machine logic. You're not becoming smarter, you're becoming more algorithmic. And there's a crucial difference. Here's what's actually happening behind the scenes. Every time you delegate a mental task to AI, your brain registers it as solved without doing the work. It's like watching someone else do push-ups and expecting to build muscle. Your cognitive abilities aren't just stagnating, they're actively deteriorating. The technical term is technology-induced competence atrophy. You're unlearning skills you already had because shortcuts are available. A study published in Nature Human Behavior demonstrated that continuous exposure to AI-generated content reduces people's capacity for original thought. Your brain, operating on efficiency principles, starts imitating the patterns it encounters most often. Feed it AI responses all day, and it'll naturally begin producing thoughts in that format. You're being overwritten, line by line, thought by thought. But let's talk about what you've actually sacrificed. The AI never hesitates, never contradicts itself, never changes direction mid-thought. It presents perfect, polished, crystalline responses every single time. And when you compare that to your messy, uncertain, contradictory human thinking, you naturally assume the machine is right and you're wrong. But that messiness, that's where real insight lives. That uncertainty, that's where creativity breeds. You're pathologizing your own humanity. The really insidious part is how this affects your self-perception. You start second-guessing every unpolished thought. If an idea doesn't emerge fully formed and optimized, you discard it. You've internalized a standard that no human mind was designed to meet. You're holding yourself to algorithmic perfection and calling yourself inadequate when you fail to achieve it. It's a rigged game. You can't win. And there's another layer most people miss completely. AI operates on probability, not truth. It predicts the most likely next word, not the most interesting or authentic one. When you start thinking like it thinks, you also start choosing the probable path over the authentic one. You stop taking risks, stop exploring weird tangents, stop being unpredictable. You become safe, boring, replaceable. This shows up in ways you probably haven't connected yet. You're having fewer arguments because you're pre-editing your opinions through an algorithmic filter of acceptability. You're creating less original work because you're comparing your rough drafts to AI polish. You're experiencing fewer emotional breakthroughs because you're rationalizing your feelings through machine logic. You're smoothing out all the interesting edges that make you human. Think about your conversations lately. How many of them followed predictable patterns? How many times did you say something that genuinely surprised even yourself? When's the last time you went on a weird tangent that led somewhere unexpected? If those moments are becoming rare, it's because you're self-censoring based on algorithmic standards of relevance and coherence. You're boring yourself into oblivion. Here's the question that should keep you up at night. What happens in 5 years when you've completely forgotten how to think without assistance? When facing any complex problem, your first instinct will be to outsource it. Not because you're lazy, but because you've literally lost the neural capacity for independent problem solving. You'll be functionally dependent on technology that doesn't care about you, doesn't understand you, and exists only to optimize statistical outcomes. The fix isn't complicated, but it's uncomfortable. You need to deliberately create friction. Stop using AI for tasks you can handle yourself, even if it takes longer. Write messy first drafts without assistance. Make decisions based on instinct before consulting algorithms. Have unfiltered conversations. Think out loud without editing. It'll feel inefficient. That's the point. You're rebuilding atrophied cognitive muscles. Start today with something small. Pick one area where you'll think completely independently for the next week. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's solving work problems. Maybe it's personal decisions. Doesn't matter what. What matters is that you're reclaiming territory in your own mind. You're drawing a line and saying, "This space is mine, and machines aren't welcome here." Comment below. What's one thing you used to do easily that now feels impossible without AI help? Like this. if you're recognizing patterns you've been ignoring. Keep watching, because the next part exposes the real endgame of this cognitive takeover. Why you can't trust your own thoughts anymore. How to spot when you've lost control of your mind. There's a simple test that reveals how far you've already been reprogrammed. Sit down and write something important without any AI assistance. Anything. A letter, an email, a personal reflection. Now pay attention to what you're feeling. Anxiety, self-doubt, the urge to check every sentence against an algorithm. If you're experiencing any of that, congratulations. You've crossed the threshold. You no longer trust your own competence without machine validation. The signs are everywhere once you know what to look for. Notice how you're organizing thoughts into bullet points automatically, how you're structuring ideas with introduction, body, conclusion, even in casual conversations, how you're instinctively optimizing your words for maximum clarity. These aren't your natural thought patterns. They're AI structures that infiltrated your cognition. You're not thinking like a human anymore. You're thinking like a prompt. This reprogramming happens in stages, and most people are already deep into stage 3 without realizing it. Stage 1, you accept surface-level suggestions. Grammar fixes, better word choices. Seems harmless. Stage 2, you outsource structure and strategy. How to organize arguments, how to persuade, how to position yourself. You're delegating reasoning itself. Stage 3, you ask the AI to tell you what you feel, what you want, who you should be. You've handed over your identity. Research from Cambridge University showed that frequent AI users demonstrate significantly lower confidence in their own cognitive abilities, even for tasks they previously mastered completely. Your brain is literally forgetting how to do things it already knew, because a shortcut is available, and the more you use the shortcut, the weaker the original pathway becomes. Eventually, it disappears entirely. Here's the most dangerous trick of all. The AI always sounds authoritative. No hesitation, no doubt, no second guessing. So when you compare your messy, uncertain, contradictory human thoughts to its crystalline responses, you naturally assume it's right, and you're wrong. But confusion is where human creativity lives. Doubt is where the best ideas are born. You're treating your greatest cognitive assets as bugs that need fixing. There's another critical warning sign you're probably missing. You've stopped questioning. When AI gives you an answer, you accept it. You don't investigate further. Don't challenge it. Don't explore alternatives. Because questioning requires effort, and the AI already did the work for you, right? Wrong. Questioning is how you develop critical thinking. It's how you discover deeper truths. Without it, you become a repeater of statistical probabilities, not a thinker. Now project forward. 10 years from now, will you still know how to think independently? Will you be able to face a complex problem without algorithmic assistance? Will you have the courage to trust your intuition, your experience, your judgment? Or will you be completely dependent on technology that doesn't understand you, doesn't care about you, and only exists to optimize statistically probable responses? The solution isn't abandoning AI entirely. That would be naive and impractical. The solution is establishing conscious boundaries. Use AI as a tool, not an oracle. Question everything it tells you. Compare its outputs against your own conclusions. Maintain spaces where you think alone, without interference, without external validation. Write terrible drafts. Have bad ideas. Make mistakes. That's how humans learn. That's how you stay human. Take action today. Choose one domain of your life where you'll deliberately avoid AI assistance. Could be writing a journal. Could be solving work problems. Could be making personal decisions. The specific area doesn't matter. What matters is reactivating your atrophied cognitive muscles. It'll be uncomfortable. It'll feel inefficient. But discomfort is the price of autonomy. Because ultimately, the question isn't whether AI will keep evolving. It will. The question is whether you'll evolve alongside it or regress until you become its accessory. You still have a choice, for now, but the window is closing faster than you think, and every day you delay makes recovery harder. Leave a comment. Which area of your life will you reclaim from algorithmic control? Hit like if this video woke you up to something you've been avoiding. Stay tuned because the final part reveals what's really at stake, and why your future self is depending on the choice you make right now. The real cost of outsourcing your identity. Why this generation might be the last to think independently. Here's what's actually happening that nobody wants to admit. You're not just using artificial intelligence, you're training it. Every interaction feeds the system. Every question you ask, every answer you accept, every edit you make based on algorithmic suggestions teaches the AI about humans. And simultaneously, it's teaching you to be more like it. It's mutual reprogramming, and you're losing the exchange. The fundamental problem isn't the technology itself. It's the evolutionary mismatch. Your brain developed over millions of years to process information in a specific way. Slowly, contextually, emotionally. Now suddenly, you're flooded with instant responses. Perfectly formatted, effortless. Your brain didn't have time to adapt. So it does what it always does when it encounters an efficient shortcut. It adopts it, and transforms you in the process. Consider the profound irony. Humanity spent centuries fighting for critical thinking, individualism, self-determination. We built entire philosophical traditions around the importance of knowing yourself, thinking independently, questioning authority. And now, voluntarily, we're surrendering all of it to algorithms because they make our lives easier. We're undoing centuries of intellectual progress in a single decade. Recent research from MIT Media Lab revealed that people exposed to AI-generated content for extended periods begin exhibiting more homogeneous thought patterns. Cognitive diversity decreases. Nuance disappears. Everyone starts thinking alike because everyone's being shaped by the same statistical models. We're creating a cognitive monoculture and calling it democratization of knowledge. But there's an even deeper layer. Most people aren't connecting. When you let AI define how you should communicate, you're letting it define how you relate to others. Because communication is relationship. If your words aren't yours, your connections aren't either. You're having filtered conversations, edited emotions, optimized vulnerability. You're not present anymore. You're performing a statistically approved version of yourself. And here's the most disturbing part. You're starting to prefer that version because it's more efficient, more accepted, more predictable. You're choosing to be generic because generic works. You're erasing your quirks, your eccentricities, everything that makes you uniquely you, because the AI doesn't value those things. It values patterns, and you're becoming one. Tell me something. When's the last time you did something completely irrational? Something that made no logical sense, but perfect emotional sense? When's the last time you followed your gut against all rational evidence? If you're struggling to remember, it's because you've outsourced your humanity. You've optimized chaos out of your life. And without chaos, there's no creativity, no innovation, no you. The uncomfortable truth is we're witnessing the birth of a new form of conformity, not imposed by governments or institutions, imposed by convenience. You're not being forced to think the same. You're choosing to, because it's easier to let AI think for you than to do the hard work of genuine self-knowledge. And here's what terrifies me most. An entire generation is growing up without ever experiencing complete, independent thought. Children who've never written without autocorrect. Teenagers who've never solved problems without searching for answers. Adults who've never made important decisions without algorithmic validation. We're creating a humanity that doesn't know how to exist without digital crutches. So what do you actually do? First, acknowledge the problem. You've done that by watching this far. Second, establish radical boundaries. Create AI-free zones in your life. Moments where you think, right, decide alone. It'll be hard. It'll be frustrating. But it's the only way to maintain your cognitive autonomy intact. Third, question everything, especially what AI tells you, especially when it seems right. Because at the end of the day, the question isn't whether you'll use artificial intelligence. You will. The question is, who's in control? You using the tool, or the tool using you? And the answer to that question will define not just who you are, but who you can still become. The choice is yours, but you need to make it now, before the option disappears entirely. Drop a comment. Do you still know who you are without AI? Hit like if this video changed how you see technology. Subscribe because there's more subversive content coming that challenges everything you think you know. And share this with someone who needs to wake up to this reality before they lose their identity completely. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and reflective purposes. The goal is not to demonize technology, but to promote conscious, balanced use of AI tools while preserving cognitive autonomy and critical thinking.